In the peroration of William Walker's case, the judge states that all the witnesses agree that the victim was a very extraordinary good kind of a woman, not likely to give him any cause of a quarrel, and that the prisoner was not a quarrelsome man. The not guilty verdict, then, was due to a combination of two things: the prisoner's usual good character and his evident madness, that is, some disorder that had seized the man. William Walker stabbed his wife to death, and was acquitted because he was deemed to be mad. What is interesting is the build-up to the murder and the way his madness allowed him to be treated less harshly. Frances Jones, who lived near the couple, was asked by the deceased to sit in on the while they slept, for fear that her husband would harm her if left alone. She told him how he had drawn his knife upon her 6 weeks ago in bed, and that she was afraid to be in the house, when there was nobody else in the house but they and the children. If he had behaved in this way while in complete control of his senses, his guilt would be a given, and the trial would have ended with him sentenced to death, but his malady saved him. Jones talks of how the prisoner acted after the death, about how he seemed to be under some delusion that his wife was being unfaithful. Says he, "I told thee how I would serve thee, but thee wouldst not be ruled," says he, "you nasty dirty hussy." The odd thing is, when compared with John Simpson's case, who had behaved madly many years before, Walker, according to Jones, had not shown any signs of madness a significant time prior to the incident. "I had no suspicion as sick anything was the matter with him, not before the accident, though he did show signs of illness before the murder." Edward Tromper, a constable, was brought to the house by Anne Walker to talk to her husband. He was troubled and said that he had never done anybody harm, and he did not know what was the reason of his condition. "What we have is a prisoner who only showed symptoms of madness immediately leading up to the murder, and the verdict, that this was enough to acquit him." This shows an interesting facet of the 18th century legal system, as extensive testing was not needed to prove a history of madness. All that was necessary was witness testimony attesting to his ill condition. Walker's remorse after the murder also contributes to the verdict. Samuel Woods, a neighbor, describes how, when Woods confronted him about the murder, he cried very much, but made no answer, and how, usually, he had never known any misbehavior of the man. That he was under some jealous delusion seems to be the case. Martha Branch, who lived next door, describes how he called his wife a nasty whore and a nasty jade, and he says, "What did you do with these two men in the house?" This was despite the fact that Branch had never heard any dispute between them in her life. She was as extraordinary a good sort of a woman as ever was in the world. The prisoner's defense confirms this. He does not say anything substantial apart from one vital sentence: "I am not sensible, as I did kill my wife." This, coupled with the witness testimony to his ill condition prior to the murder and his track record of kindness before that, combined to form the not guilty verdict, which is shown in the judge's final speech and decision. The judge states that he is satisfied that if at that time the state of the man's body had been examined into, he would have been found to have had a fever upon him, because all the witnesses agree that he was behaving strangely. This is important, as it shows that there was not further examination needed, and it was enough to hear of his condition second-hand. Although there is no way to be certain, the witness testimony is enough, and the uncertainty is a necessary evil. The judge does not even pretend at certainty. "I confess it appears to me to be the effect of insanity," italics added. After the jury have acquitted the prisoner, it is decided that he shall be taken into custody, to be taken proper care of. This again differs from Simpson's case, as here the court makes arrangements for the man and the public's safety. Ultimately, it was lack of awareness and therefore reduced responsibility that saved him from punishment.